It has now been a few weeks since I started learning Japanese again, and I figured out a pretty solid study routine for me that is helping me just to get back into the swing of things, to help me get used to seeing and hearing the language again, and most importantly, to build the habit of actually making time to do honestly whatever in the language, but something. Because at this point in time, I don't think it's important to have this really elaborate timetable with a bunch of different activities and have this really rigid routine, but just do anything. Because honestly, we don't want to set ourselves up for failure right from the beginning. And to be really honest with you guys, you don't need all that fancy stuff. You don't need to be doing a bunch of different activities, change it up every single day, but you can just do a few activities on repeat, and that will get you really far already. For me, the last couple of weeks have really just been about gauging where I'm currently at, and then slowly now I am upping the time I spend with the language. But for the last couple of weeks, these are the things that have helped me the most. I knew that after such a long time, there was no way I would still remember all the kanji that I once knew, and honestly, when it comes to writing, I'm so lost. I can't write any kanji anymore. But honestly, that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that when I read, I can very often remember the reading of a kanji or the meaning, but very often not both. And not knowing one or the other gets in the way of a lot of other things pretty quickly. I also like how progress on this app is very tangible. It's not some abstract kind of invisible thing where you technically know what's happening if you do it for long enough, but no. In this app, you can actually see the percentages go up every time you learn a few kanji. And I think that is really important in the beginning, at least for me. I like to see that I'm making progress, and I like to have a kind of checklist where I can check things off and see a progress bar and see, okay, I have 50% to go, I have 20% to go, I'm now all the way done. I only use this app for the first 2 or 3 weeks, a couple of times a day, and would just click on a few kanji, have fun, and then let it go. But honestly, it does add up over time, and it helped me remember that some of the kanji even existed. One of my goals for Japanese is to speak and understand the language and not just be able to read it. So I figured one of the easiest things for me to do is find something that I really enjoy and then just throw that on and watch it and worry about the cramming and the studying later. At this point, I'm honestly just focused on getting used to hearing and interacting with the language again, on being really attentive and just building that mindset of, oh, this is study mode, I gotta be attentive. I can't just have all the words fly over my head, but I have to actually pay attention. I'm a big believer of not just mindlessly consuming media and hoping that something will stick, but to be an active agent in the learning process. You can be attentive and you can be intentional with what you're consuming and how you're consuming it. This works at almost any level. When you're a beginner, you can try to listen out for the sounds of the words. You can try to parse the sentences, see where the words begin and where they end. If you're at an advanced level, you can listen out for nuances. You can listen out for the tone, the way something is said, the word choice. You can think about why a certain grammar structure might be used. What has really helped me with this process is, one, finally setting up the Migaku ecosystem because I've been on an old version for way too long, and two, being super obsessed with this anime called Frieren. It is spoken in such a clear and slow way, making it perfect to think about what is being said, really listen to the sounds and trying to pick out the words and parse the sentences. Since I'm coming back to Japanese after quite a long time, I like to take notes of new words or expressions so that I can review them later, which brings me to my next point. I've just been sentence mining Frieren, which essentially means that I'm using the Migaku software to save sentences for me so that I can later review them in the form of flashcards. I feel like this helps me, one, kind of reinforce the kanji that I've already seen in the kanji app, and then two, I get a second revision of words that I've already seen in the anime. And this helps build a stronger connection between the words and the situation that they are used in, for example. It's just more context to learn. I'm not the biggest fan of flashcards, but I will say that they do have their space in language learning, especially when you're just starting out or just getting back into things. I think they are amazing. They are such a low effort point of contact with the language, and they can give you a massive boost to your vocabulary, which at this point is all I'm going for really. And honestly, I love these flashcards. The anime is amazing, I get the audio every time I review them, and they just look so good. Not sure what I'll do once I'm done with Frieren, but I'm sure I'll figure something out until then. So these three things, kanji app, interaction with media, and flashcards are what I've been up to for the last 4 to 5 weeks. Now that I have that part down for the most part, I figured I would just up the volume a little bit. Not necessarily add a ton of new activities, but just increase the contact points with the language. So instead of just watching Frieren, I figured I could also add some YouTube videos or maybe watch a drama. And I've also started reading this book recently, which I haven't read a Japanese book in a long time, so I am determined to finish this by the end of October. But yeah, I will continue experimenting, I will see what works, see what doesn't work, and I'll keep you updated at a later point in time. Thank you for watching.